You're seeing here the title of our presentation. Uh, Essentially, is about the Ballsells Fellowship at UC Irvine, and I also invited, in addition to myself and Sergio Gago, who is a professor in the School of Information and Computer Sciences, and also the associate director of the Vancelles program. I invited two Ballsells Mobility Fellows, and they are here with us today, Joanne and Mohammed. And I think Joanne came from ETSAID. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong. And Mohammed
Yeah,
came
yeah.
from the School of Telecommunications. So since those two schools are here, I thought it would be nice for them to join us. All right, so I'm going to start giving you a little bit of an outline of who we are, what we do at UC Irvine, and then about halfway through, I'll pass the podium to Sergio, who will tell you a little bit more about our schools and also give you more details about how to apply for the fellowships. So, we always start with this slide because essentially this is what most of you are probably thinking about as you approach your graduation. Either you're finishing your bachelor's degree or you're, starting or finishing a master's degree. The question is, what you want to do after that. And, the vast majority of engineers, take option one, which is to get a job. Typically, it would be in industry, but there is always a second option, which is to deepen your knowledge in a certain field of knowledge. So, and that's what this opportunity is all about. If you're interested in learning more, deepening your knowledge in a certain field, then that typically means going further with your studies. And then we give you an opportunity to do that if you decide to do that, to do it here in California. And again, it's a great opportunity. California, you probably know, is one of the strongest economies in the world. So if we were to separate California from the rest of the United States, which is not going to happen anytime soon, although there are many people who would like for that to happen. Uh, California would be up there, either sixth or seventh in terms of the strength of the economy. So, and more than that, it's not just in California, but it's in Southern California, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a moment. So the fellowship has existed now for 25 years, and it was started by Pete Ballsells, or Pere Ballsells, as he is known in Catalonia, and he is a retired engineer and entrepreneur who started a company um, more than 60 years ago. And this company became a very dominant company in the field. It's a mechanical engineering company that builds springs that are used to pressurize joints, seals, and joints in many processes in engineering. He has now sold the company a few years ago and has retired, but he's still a very active person. And it is thanks to him that the program started. And then we also had the Catalan government participate in the program for many, many years since the beginning of the program. But then, when the economic crisis of a few years ago happened, they decided to stop their participation in the program. However, the program has continued here uninterruptedly since 1996. What are the opportunities that we can give you at UC Irvine? Um, it's basically in two schools within the University of California at Irvine. One is the School of Engineering, and that's the one that I represent since I am a professor in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. And the other school is the School of Information and Computer Sciences, and that is where Sergio Gago, my colleague, is a professor in. And the opportunities that we give you are two. One is the Ballsells Mobility Program, and the other one is the Ballsells Graduate Program. So the mobility program is like many other mobility programs that you have available to you in Europe. It essentially helps you, serves you to come here for 6 months to either finish your bachelor's degree by doing your project for the bachelor's degree, or if you're a master's student, then it gives you an opportunity to come here to do to work on your master's thesis. So it's very simple. Uh, there's not much difference in terms of what the program offers in terms of what other mobility programs offer you. But then we also have the graduate study Vancelles program, which is actually the most important component of the Ballsells Fellowship. And this is to bring you here to obtain a graduate degree. And graduate degrees means master's degrees and or PhD degrees. And the reason we underline PhD degree here is because that's our priority. So the highest priority when you apply for a Ballsells graduate fellowship is given to those students who actually apply for the PhD. And even if you don't have a master's degree yet, for example, here you can apply for the PhD, and then if you are admitted, then you actually do a master's. If you don't have one, you do a master's before you start actually the actual PhD. More on the history. Again, in 25 years, we've had nearly 200 fellowships awarded. And you can see more or less how they are divided here. The majority of the fellows are graduate fellows. So those are students who came here for a master's and a PhD, 150 of them. There was also a postdoctoral fellowship that we're not emphasizing nowadays. And then, of course, the mobility fellowship. And of course, quite a few of the mobility fellows become graduate fellows. That's actually one of the goals of the mobility program, is that when you come here for 6 months, is because you're already thinking about coming back after you finish the mobility visit to do your PhD. And we bring students from all the universities in Catalonia that have engineering degrees, and of course UPC, you can see it right here in the middle, is the biggest one. So a lot of our students, a large majority, come from UPC. Where are we located? You all know where Los Angeles is, and probably where San Diego is in the south. This is California right here. So Irvine is about an hour south of Los Angeles, and about an hour and a half or 2 hours from San Diego. It's on the coast. You can see actually in the background there is a picture of Laguna Beach, which is a very nice beach town about 15 minutes south from Irvine. So that's where we are located. It's a very large city, not like a metropolis, but it is a very large city for American standards. It was probably close to 300,000 people living in the city. And when you think of a city in Southern California, it's really more like what you call, the divisions within Barcelona, for example. You have Las Corts, you have Sarriá, and so on, because they're all connected. So all the cities in Southern California are pretty much all connected to each other. So when you think about 300,000 people, it's really in a larger area that has over 3 million people, which is Orange County. And because of our location, here's again the picture of Laguna Beach in the background, but we also have the San Gabriel Mountains just about between an hour and a half away in the winter time. It's a nice place to go. And then we have, in Los Angeles, of course, we have all kinds of sporting activities. If you like basketball, we also have a very good basketball team at UC Irvine, and some of the Ballsells fellows are really into basketball. So, and then we have opportunities for entertainment, concert halls, and so on. And if you are, kind of fascinated by the stars, the movie stars, then there is obviously Hollywood in north of LA. The university itself was established in 1965. So, we are already over 50 years old. And it's a pretty large university. It's part of the University of California system, uh, and has about 37,000 students. And here you can see an aerial view of the university. All the different schools, say engineering, physical sciences, computer sciences, social sciences, are all located in the buildings around this big park in the middle. And then the housing for both students and faculty is in the, a little farther out in this circular arrangement. Uh, we have 15 different schools and programs, uh, about 3,500 professors like myself and Sergio and other teaching professors. And we're very highly ranked. There are nowadays so many different rankings, but there's one by U.S. News and World Report that ranks public universities, for example, in the U.S. And uh, we're number 9 in the latest ranking. We've also achieved recognition in terms of, in the sciences, for example, in terms of Nobel laureates. We have received 2 Nobel Prizes um, in physics, one in chemistry. And this year there was actually a Nobel Prize awarded to one of our former PhD students, who is a professor. I believe he was at Harvard, but I'm not sure. But anyway, he got a Nobel Prize in chemistry this year, and he is a PhD graduate from UCI. We have great facilities in engineering and in computer sciences. This is a picture of a building that was just finished. It was actually built mostly during the pandemic. It started to be built before the pandemic, and it was built during the pandemic, and now it's been completed. 113 square feet of space is probably about 10,000 square meters of space, for laboratories and research, and it's interdisciplinary. One of the things that UC Irvine emphasizes is interdisciplinary studies. So people from engineering, people from computer sciences, physical sciences come together, and this building essentially serves the purpose of bringing people from different disciplines to do research. There are also many research centers and institutes on the campus, and this is just a partial list. Since we have probably people from civil engineering, this last one here is a very well-known Institute of Transportation Studies, and that is at UC Irvine. There's a very strong program in water resources and water energy. You can see the other ones here, telecommunications and information technology for those who are in telecommunications, manufacturing, energy. So this is a comprehensive list of places that are here where faculty and students come together to do their research. So I'll tell you a little bit now about engineering before I give I let Sergio tell you a little bit about computer sciences. Our school has about 160 professors, about 3,600 or so undergraduate students. These are bachelor degree students, and then about 1,000 graduate students. We're a research university, so it's most of the effort of the professors and the graduate students go into developing research, and we have a very strong program. We have about $51 million in awards, contracts, for example, from the government or from industry that support the research. And this is important because for the PhD students, once they go after the first 2 years, which are supported by the fellowship, then they go into actual research programs and they are supported as researchers. We just hired a new dean. His name is Magnus Eggerstadt. He was a professor. Actually, he was the chair of electrical engineering at Georgia Tech until this year, when he came and joined us. He's an expert in robotics. So he's our new dean. And so if you come here, you might be interested, for example, if you're interested in robotics research, he would be a person to work with. And then in terms of, where, what kind of activities we have, we divided into 6 departments. But here you can see a list of, where the research activities take place. Biomedical engineering, biochemical engineering, civil engineering. There's also environmental engineering. Here, this is one department, civil and environmental engineering. Electrical, computer engineering, mechanical and aerospace engineering, material sciences and engineering. And there is a program in embedded and cyber physical systems. So again, I'm not going into details of what each of these programs offer. That's actually something for you if you're interested to actually go back and visit the websites and see what activities are there that might be of interest to you. And so now I will ask Sergio to take over and tell you a little bit about the School of Information and Computer Sciences.
Thanks, Roger. Okay, so about the School of Information and Computer Science used to be part of engineering many years ago, but the program grew so much that it became their own school. And there were 3 departments to form the school, the current School of Information and Computer Science, which is computer science, informatics, and statistics. We have about 3,300 undergrad students, so students who are pursuing a bachelor's degree in any of the programs that are offered by these 3 departments. About 830 graduate students doing masters or PhDs, and more than 100 faculty members, because we are hiring at a very high rate during the last 3 years. So we just onboard 3 more faculty members. Many graduate programs, some of them are overlapping with other disciplines as engineering, for example, embedded and cyber physical systems, as Roger presented already. We have very popular programs in human-computer interaction recognized nationwide. Network systems is also very popular, and software engineering is getting a lot of attraction as well. Data science is hosting machine learning and AI. So it became a very popular discipline that is offered by the statistics department. So it just again grew up so much that it is based on statistics, not computer science. So they became that major program became part of that department as well, very strong. We have many research areas, active research areas based on awarded funding, as Roger presented for engineering. ICS is also pioneer in funding raise. Some of the, as I said, this is linked to many of the programs that I have presented earlier. Health informatics, human-computer interaction, getting a lot of attraction. AI, machine learning, software engineering, environmental informatics as well, biology, biomedical informatics, share with engineering as well. Well, you can find many, much more information in the website, but this is just a glance of the many programs that are available and research areas. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to apply to the different programs that the Ballsells program is offering. I think that's related to one of the questions that we have in the chat. So for the mobility program, it is intended for a student to come here for 6 months to finish their final thesis or the master thesis. So students who are finishing a bachelor's degree or a master's degree have the opportunity to apply and finish their final project here. This is intended for students who would like, or we have a strong preference for students who would like to continue their graduate studies here at UC Irvine. Students can choose between 2 semesters, fall or spring. There are about 5-6 positions per year that are offered. And well, there's more information on the Ballsells web, of course. So if you are interested in the mobility program, you should have a strong academic record. No need to say that, right? I think we are asking well, we will talk about the requirements later. You should provide a letter of interest, curriculum, CV, and also your academic transcripts, and of course they should be in English. That information needs to be sent to the Ballsells email, ballsells@uca.edu. And again, if you need more information about the program, you can find it in the link shown in the slide. Regarding the graduate program, I didn't say something important. Can you go back one? Sorry, Roger. The mobility program only provides a partial funding, right? I think it's the previous one. Okay, that one. So the partial funding provided by the mobility program is $7,200. For 6 months, that it may be enough, right? Depending on the type of life that you want to have here. But in general, we expect that the students will be able to cost share, complement that amount a little bit. And also in terms of visa requirements, I think the government requires proof that the student will have at least, I think it's $2,000, right, Roger, per month.
Yes, so, that's the requirement.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you need to spend it, but
yeah,
you need to show that you have it.
They don't track if you spend it. But yeah, so if the program offers $7,200, then that means that you need to at least demonstrate that you have the rest amount to the $12,000 that is required for a 6 months stay here.
And just to repeat, since both Joan and Mohammed are here, and they are actually experiencing this situation, they can probably say later at the end of the talk, which if the 7,200 are enough, or we need to supplement it, and by how much.
Thank you. Okay, so going back to the graduate program. Graduate program intended for students who want to come or that they want to stay after their mobility program for a master's degree or a doctoral degree. The monthly stipend offered by the program is $2,400 per month. So that adds up about $30,000 per year. There is also, the program also covers the tuition, fees, and health insurance, which adds about $33,000 per year, and also includes a travel stipend that students can use during the stay for going back to home or to go to a conference, whatever justified travel, right? They want to use it for. So that if you add all the amounts, you get about $63,000 per year, right? It's a very competent fellowship for a student to come here to California. So based on my experience and based on other fellows, that amount allows for a comfortable life here and also even savings to visit other parts of the United States, right, or do other activities. The Ballsells Fellowship is, again, available for master's programs and doctoral programs for up to 2 years. So that means that there is a commitment from the Ballsells program to fund the student for 2 years. And after that, the student there is a commitment by the advisor or the department to continue funding the student for the next 3 years. Nobody here wants a student to interrupt the program because of funding. So nobody should be concerned about what's going to happen if I do a PhD after the second year, right? So the funding is arranged in many ways for students. The most popular way is through teaching assistantships or readerships, which is basically having students helping with teaching tasks and courses. And the other is as graduate research assistants, or GSR, graduate students researchers, right? That is type of employment for students to do research based on some funded project. The Ballsells program offers from 6 to 7 fellowships each year for master's or doctoral degrees. And again, the same way that we say that there is a priority for mobility applicants to continue their graduate program, there is also a priority or preference for applicants who would like to pursue a doctoral degree instead of a master, right? That doesn't mean that you cannot pursue a master degree. You can pursue a master degree, then you can continue with the doctoral degree, or you can directly go to the doctoral degree. If you don't have a master's yet, you will get a master's in the first stage, which equals to more or less the same time that a master degree. Who can apply to the Ballsells program? Spanish citizens who are in Catalonia can speak English, Catalan, and Spanish, and are graduating from a Catalan or other European universities, majoring in one of the fields that we offer between the schools of engineering and information and computer sciences. Requirements for admissions to any of our graduate programs. Well, the student needs to be accepted to the university, right, to be able to come here. So that means that a student needs to apply as any other international student to that specific graduate program. And the student needs to go through the policy and deadlines that the university are required. So that means that most of the programs deadlines are December 15, but you should check if you are interested in a specific graduate program, what are the specific deadlines and dates for that one. The university will require for international students the undergraduate transcripts, the originals, and also the English translation. The GRE scores, although some programs starting with the pandemic, they started waiving that requirement. Even if you don't need to submit GRE scores, so if you are not required to submit GRE scores, I will strongly recommend to take the exam if you can and submit it, because it's a very important data point that programs will use for selection. If it's not there, they won't use it, and it shouldn't harm. But if it's there for international students, it's very important, because the scoring scale that we have is different, right, than what we have, what you have in Catalonia or Spain. And it is important to know what that number from 1 to 10 or from 0 to 10 equals in terms of knowledge, right? We have some mappings already for international students, but again, having a strong GRE score just helps to realize how good is that applicant. 3 letters of recommendation, highlighting your potential for performing independent studies, research, right, and ability to think out of the box, as we say, not just like thinking about the course assignments, but also about real-world problems, right, and potential solutions. And also the statement of purpose, which is the candidate statement, where you write about yourself, and that's very important as well. So you need to say why you are a good fit for the program. You need to talk about your interests and which goals do you have, or where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years. Also, how challenges that you have lived or your personal story has helped you to become a better candidate, right? And what are the reasons why you are actually pursuing that degree. In terms of timeline, it's always a little bit tight, right? This presentation this will be the timeline for the mobility and graduate application. So if for undergraduate students, should be students who are in their 3rd year, or for master students that are who are in the 1st year. So this presentation is happening in October, right, 2021. So you can choose to apply to the mobility, or you should apply for the mobility in February next year. And then you can choose to start the mobility in fall that same year, or spring during the next year, right, in 2023. Then the idea, again, there is a preference and an expectation that students who come with the mobility program, they will also apply for the graduate program. So a student who will apply, be awarded the mobility, and then apply for the graduate program, that should happen if you're applying in this round. You should start thinking about taking the GRE and the English exams, who are required as well, TOEFL or IELTS, by December 2022. So you can submit your application by the deadline, which are normally, as I said, mostly in December. Then the admissions decisions by UCI are communicated about around March in 2023, and then the decisions of support, which will also will be whether you are awarded the Ballsells fellowship, will happen around April 2023, and the fall term starts late September. If you want to go directly to you want to apply directly to a graduate program, whether it's a master's or a PhD, you should be in your 4th year, or you can also be a first-year master's student who wants to come here to continue with the graduate studies. So again, this presentation is now in October. You should be thinking about taking the GRE and the English exams by December this year, so you can complete the application by the deadline of the program. Most of them in December, some of them in January. And Paul, this is the same as Kel, right? The admissions decisions by the university are communicated around March, and then decisions of funding in May. And then the next academic year starts in late September 2022. If you want to see more information, find more information about the English exams or the GRE, there are the official websites that you can register and find all information needed to take the exam and prepare. And if you want to explore deadlines and programs, deadline applications and programs, graduate programs at UCI, you can go to the grad office website of UCI, which is also in the website. And of course, if you have questions, you can also ask us sending an email. Okay, so I will return the mic to Roger, and I think you can invite.
All right. Thank you, Sergio. And I think that there was a question there that I think we answered from David Bonet about the deadlines. But if not, just let us know. But I want to, as I said at the beginning, I want to give both Joan and Mohammed an opportunity if they want to add anything to what we said that might be useful for the potential applicants to know. Please go ahead. Or if not, we can just let the students ask questions.
Okay. Well, I am Joan, and I am here in a mobility fellowship. Well, I studied at HSAPE Industrial Engineering, and now I am in my department doing my thesis. And well, I just want to say that I strongly recommend you to come here. Actually, I came here just for 6 months, but now I'm trying to extend my stay for the whole year and apply for my PhD. And with that, I want to say that it's a really good place to stay. I'm doing my thesis, and I'm working in really state-of-the-art topics, and I'm learning a lot. And also, I would like to say you that here in UCI there is a good social life. I am lucky. I have met people like Mohammed and other Ballsells students and international students, and we have a really good group, and we do a lot of things like playing soccer or basketball in the gym and other activities. So I want again to strongly recommend you to come here. And also about the money that, well, you said something about the money we have. It's true that live here in Irvine is quite expensive, especially the housing. I mean, I spent a lot of time looking for housing, and finally I get a good place to live. So for me, like, the money of the fellowship is enough. But don't stress. If you decide to come here and you get the fellowship, don't get stressed with the searching of housing, because you can find something. And That's
Thank you.
all.
Thank you, John. I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm not paying Joan to say the nice things. I just asked them to. Last night, I invited them to come here, and I didn't give them any any hints as to what they should say. So, and I don't know if Mohammed, do you want to add anything or?
Yeah. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, first, I am telecommunication engineering in the School of Telecommunication. I did my bachelor's degree there. And also I'm electrical engineering. My master is in electrical engineering, also in telecommunication school. Here, like in UCI, I am in a lab that is enrolled into departments, the biomedical department, and also in the electrical department. And now I have been here like for 2 months now. And all this time I learned a lot of new things, because my background is not in the biomedical engineering, but in the lab there are a lot of students, PhD students mostly. And every day I learn new things, and I'm trying to also perform a project in the biomedical department for the electrical part. As for the fellowship and money and the amount, as Joan said, if you find a convenient housing or something cheap, is enough. But for example, this year was very, very difficult to find something, because it's the first year after the pandemic that all the students come to the campus, and was a little difficult to find something. But if there is not the case that there is not cheap, maybe you have to spend a little bit more from your savings or something, because as maybe you know, here in California, the life is a little bit more expensive than Catalonia. And also for the international community, as Joan said, there is a lot of big community, international students here from around all the world, and the International Center from UCI offers a lot of events and activities for all the students, that you can meet new people from other countries. And also there are big, very nice, and a lot of sport clubs that you can join and spend your time. And also, yeah, the weather in California is very nice. And you can like go to surf, and also in the winter you can go to the mountains and ski if you like to ski. And it's all for my part. Have someone some question?
All right. Thank you, Mohammed. Please, students who are in the presentation, if you have questions, please ask. I see a new one in the chat. Computer sciences. That's a question. Well, I think I can answer it. English language, we waived. No. So anyway, for the mobility program, we don't require any English exams. So let me go back here to that slide. When we say here we want intermediate English proficiency, the way we determine your English proficiency is by means of an interview. So we do a teleconference with you. Typically, would be the person, your mentor, the person who has chosen you to join their group, and so you get an interview, and that's how we test your English proficiency. So there's no exam required for mobility. Now, for the graduate program, if you're applying for the graduate program, then it is required. You have to take either the TOEFL or the IELTS, and it's a university requirement, and it cannot be waived.
I think it can only be waived if you are coming from if you're graduating from
right, or an English-speaking
country,
yeah.
or you are graduating from a university in English-speaking country.
Right. So let's see, Pablo, third year, want to come for the mobility graduate program down the line. Yes, so that's a good question, actually, and that's exactly what Joanna and Mohammed are doing. So let me bring the timeline. That would be for you, right? You're in the third year, you want to apply for mobility, and so you would have to do that this coming February, and then you would start your mobility, for example, either in the fall, if you choose like Joanna and Mohammed to start in the fall, or if you start in the spring of 23. And then in December of 22 is when you would take the exams, you would complete your application. So that's the down the line part that you're talking about here, Pablo. And so, and this is, like I said, this is exactly what Joanne and Mohammed are going through, because, they came, you have to subtract 1 year to all of these dates, right? So they came uh, in September of 21, and now they are preparing their application, right? Because they just started mobility here like a month ago, and so now they're working on their application for the graduate program. So in their case, they're doing it while they are here because they came in the fall semester. If you come in the spring semester, then you actually would have to do it before you come here, the application for the graduate program. But we help you a little bit if you have doubts. When you're going through that process, we help you. We answer your questions. Okay, so Pablo says it's clear. And Tony, can you send the application while preparing the GRE exam? No, you can submit the application before you take the exam. So as long as the application is complete, the exams, the results from the exams come directly from the institutions that administer the exams. So they can come a little bit after you submit your application. I don't know if I'm missing any because they're coming very fast. Here, do you have to have residence? So if you're not if you weren't born in Catalonia, you were born somewhere else, and you're going to UPC, what we ask is that you become a resident in Catalonia. The so-called empadronament, right? So you have to be empadronat in Catalonia. Let's see. Pretty much. The GRE is mandatory in some departments, but not all. So that's why there is this in parentheses here. It says some programs are waiving the GRE. I know, for example, in engineering, where I told you we have 6 departments, 4 of the 6 departments waive the GRE, and 2 still require the GRE. And I don't know, Sergio, what the situation is in the departments in computer sciences.
Yeah, it's the same. Most of them are waived.
Yeah.
Also, you can start your application and you don't need to have the GRE ready, but the GRE score should get in before the deadline of the application.
Yeah, some the deadlines vary, like we said, by department. So once you decide where you want to apply to, there is a website. If you go to the Ballsells website, you can see the different deadlines for the different departments. And some are stricter than others. Some are a little bit more flexible with the application, but some are very strict, and you have to meet the deadlines, because they have a lot of applicants. So if you miss them, then your application might not be considered. So it really depends on which department you're applying to.
Yeah. For example, for the electrical department I am applying, they ask for the GRE exam score for the.
Correct. Yeah. I think electrical and also biomedical engineering actually are still requiring GREs. Yeah. But for example, my department, mechanical and aerospace engineering, is no longer requiring the GRE, at least not for this coming cycle. Let's see how feasible it is to just go for the mobility program. It's not desirable on our side. So like we said throughout the presentation, if you are applying for mobility, we kind of discuss it with you, and we have the expectation that if you're coming for mobility, it's because you're also going to be coming for graduate studies. We prefer not to give mobility just to come here for mobility. Let's see. Where am I? I guess I already answered this one from David. You have taken the TOEFL. Oh, yeah. So if you already took the TOEFL, if you happen to be in a situation where you already took the TOEFL, you can send that. You know, it will be part of your. You can put it with your application, and we'll still give you an interview, because the interview is not just for the English, but also your potential advisor will want to know your preparation and whether you're a good match. So you will still do an interview, but you can send your TOEFL score if you have it. Um, if you're choosing for mobility, can you be rejected? Yes, that's a possibility, but you know, we try very hard to select the students for mobility that we think have very good chances of, you know, being here as graduate students. So you know, I think it's unlikely, because of the selection process for mobility pays attention to your ability or your potential to become a graduate student. So it is not mathematically impossible that you could be rejected, but I don't think it happens. I don't recall it happening in any recent times. Um, so let's see. Great. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So if anybody wants to ask a question, you know, by speaking, do so. Or just keep typing on the chat if you need to. I want to say something that because, you know, I think there is an intimidation factor sometimes, right, for students that feel that they might, you know, it might be too hard. Um, you know, Mohammed and John can also speak to that, but I think the students that come from there, you know, and particularly from UPC and the schools that are in this chat today, have a very good preparation, very good preparation. When they come here, they do very well. So I think it's natural to have that intimidation factor, but the truth is that you are very well prepared. You know, your schools there prepare you very well. So if you're a successful student there, you will be a successful student here. And so, you know, and also another thing that I think students worry about is that there are going to be so many applications that that is going to be nearly impossible. The truth is that you know, perhaps because of all the steps involved in the process, you know, it takes somebody who is really interested in you know, doing all of these things, and that in a way filters out a lot of people, because people who don't really want to go through all the difficult steps, they might not, you know, want to apply. But and therefore, you know, it's not like it's super impossible. I would say that you know, worst case scenario is about 1 in 3, you know. So, you know, 1/3 of the applicants get admitted and come here. That's kind of the, like I said, worst case scenario. It's somewhere between 1 in 2 and 1 in 3. So because it's not like we get hundreds of applications, you know, not even close to that. So so if you really want to do this, if you're really motivated to do this, and you have a good record and you're a good student, I definitely encourage you to apply.
Yeah, I would like to echo what Roger said. So students from UPC are extremely well prepared. So technically, UPC, I will say that the level is much higher than some of the undergrad programs that we have here. So when we put everyone at the same level, including international students, UPC actually excels in performance. So just wanted to encourage the students to apply, because if you are doing well there, you will do good here. Also, in terms of environment, UCI, and probably Mohammed and Joan can also speak to that, but UCI has a very welcoming environment. It's very diverse, very international. You probably won't feel that you are not at home, because there's so many people from everywhere, right? That is, aside from being a very rich experience, is also, it does not create that environment that feels that you don't belong here, right? And I think that's very important as well, as it may happen in other countries. When you come here, is that you are one of the many international students who are trying to find their way through, right, and exploring the wonders of California and Orange County, Irvine, and UCI. So don't be afraid about that. If you have ever had an international experience, I think this is a very worth one.
Thank you, Sergio. There is a new question from Pera Ginebra. If you're accepted into a graduate program, do you automatically get accepted to the Ballsells Fellowship? It's not automatic, but it's very likely. So, and again, it varies a little bit by department, but when we go through the process of reviewing if you're a Ballsells applicant in any of the departments, then typically what would happen is that the Ballsells program will work with the department to arrive at a common decision, so that if the department wants to bring you in, then the Ballsells Fellowship would also provide support. So there might be a few very rare cases where you might be admitted without a Ballsells Fellowship, but it could be because there is other funds available. So you might be, Ballsells Fellowship is just one of the ways that a student can be supported for graduate school. It is a very big one at UCI. I mean, it's probably, I've heard many people say at the campus level that the Ballsells Fellowship is actually one of the best fellowships on the campus, but there are other opportunities. So sometimes a student might be admitted, and if it's not Ballsells supported, it's because it might be supported by some other mechanisms. But I would say yes. Question for the fellows. Are you guys able to read this, or you want me to read them? Have you been 24/7 at the lab? I want to say yes myself. That's what we want. We want you to be 24/7 in the lab, but let's see what Joanne and Mohammed think.
Well, in my case, I spend a lot of time working, to be honest, but not only in the lab, but also in the library, because at least me, I have my own schedules, and as I work only in a theoretical thing, I can just take my computer and go to another place. Also, the campus is really good, and apart from working, I have a good balance between working and social life. As we told before, you have a lot of activities to do in the campus, but also there is Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, also Orange is a good place to go. So don't worry that you will have fun. You will work a lot, but you will have fun.
Yeah, the same for me. For example, it depends of how you arrange with your professor, but in research normally it's a big flexibility. Like if you work all from Monday to Friday, you have free the weekends to do whatever you want. And if someday in specific you need someday, for example, from Monday to Friday, you can like get free the day and after work at home the weekend. And also there is a big, like a lot of things to do here in California. For example, some weeks ago we went like for a camping in the national parks, and every weekend we try to do things. But yes, in the work days from Monday to Friday, you have like a schedule of 8 hours per day working, and normally it's enough, but this depends with your professor.
Yeah, I think the only difference would be maybe for the students who are here as graduate students, and you will be hopefully next year, is that once you start, you have to take classes, right? So not only, right now you're here only doing research as a mobility fellow, and I think that probably gives you a little bit more flexibility. Once you have classes, then of course, you have to go to class, you have to, in our system, there is what we call continuing evaluation. So classes have homework, which you might not do there. Homework has to be turned in, and so students are, probably busier when they are taking classes than when they're just doing research. But I've never heard, even the students who are here taking classes, I think they still have time to, on the weekends to do other things. And, like you said, the soccer games and basketball games. You mentioned a little bit about the gym. We have a fantastic gym, the ARC, and theater. Our mascot, you know how the universities in the U.S. have mascots, right? So our mascot is a very strange one because it's an anteater. So the gym is called the Anteater Recreation Center, ARC, and it's really fantastic because I actually before the pandemic I used to go there. During the pandemic it was closed, but it has fantastic facilities, and you can Google it and you can look at it and see the pictures inside. If you like climbing, there is a wall, to climb inside the ARC. There's a big pool for swimming. There is a good, weightlifting facilities. They give classes, for yoga, all kinds of things. And there are courts, basketball courts inside, where you can go and play pickup games and so on. So it's a really, really nice facility.
Yeah, I am going to the ARC, and I seen here sports that I never seen in other place. So there is a lot of different sports and very good facilities to do everything that you want, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I also want to add that I don't know it for first hand, but I have a lot of friends that are doing their master here, and at least what they told me is that they have less hours of class than in Spain. Of course, you have a lot of homework, but that's also good because you can do homework on your own. You can learn a lot, and so of course, you are all the day working, but you also can find time to go to the gym, as Mohammed said. So don't worry about. As I said before, you can have a good balance, so don't worry about the fees. And that's all.
Well, maybe we, wait a minute or so to see if anybody else wants to ask a question. I don't see any new ones coming in. And if not, maybe we can end it. It's already been an hour, so I'm sure people have other things to do.
I want to give my email if someone have some question about the live here or everything. Like I can send it for the chat, and everyone have any question can send me a mail, and I try to answer it if someone wants.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
will do the same. Just write down.
There they are there. Yeah. And Mohammed already has his UCI email. Good.
Yeah, I have already. I have mine, but
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
all right,
thank you very much for your very nice and interesting presentation, Roger, Sergio, Joan, and Mohammed. It was a pleasure to welcome you again this year for the presentation of this opportunity for all the students at the UPC. And as I was commenting, we will save this recording, and then we'll make it available in the web of the school, and also we will send the link to other schools at the UPC so that anybody else that has not been able to attend here, they can just check the slides, your presentation, and address your questions to you directly by email. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Jose, and everybody else.
Okay, thank you very much too.
Hey, Lucas, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much then. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.